Budapest stands as a testament to the enduring power of human ingenuity, where East meets West and empires rise and fall. Its storied past is etched into the very stones of the Danube River, which has borne witness to centuries of triumph and turmoil. As we delve into the history of Budapest, the whispers of the past await, ready to ignite our imagination and redefine our understanding of this captivating city. In the distant expanse of time when the misty veil of prehistory shrouded the European continent, the region that would eventually become Budapest lay nestled between the rolling hills and fertile plains of Central Europe. The Danube River, that majestic artery of commerce and culture, flowed gently through the landscape, its tranquil waters a testament to the region's strategic importance. It was here, in this primordial landscape, that the earliest stirrings of human habitation began to take root. These early settlers, armed with primitive tools and a nascent understanding of agriculture, slowly began to domesticate the land, cultivating crops such as wheat, barley, and millet. The archaeological record reveals a plethora of artifacts from this period, including ceramic vessels, stone tools, and the remnants of primitive dwellings, all bearing witness to the ingenuity and resilience of these ancient people. One of the most significant Neolithic cultures to flourish in the region was the Alfold linear pottery culture, named after the distinctive linear patterns that adorned their ceramics. These early farmers established a network of settlements along the Danube, with sites such as Semiretiges and Ely yielding a wealth of archaeological treasures. The discovery of these ancient artifacts has allowed us to reconstruct the daily lives of these Neolithic communities, revealing a complex social hierarchy with evidence of trade networks, ritual practices, and even early forms of governance. As the millennia passed, the region continued to evolve, with new cultures emerging and old ones fading into obscurity. The Copper Age, which dawned around 4500 BCE, brought significant advances in metallurgy, as copper tools and ornaments began to supplant their stone counterparts. This period also saw the rise of more complex societies, with the emergence of chieftains and early forms of social stratification. The archaeological site at Budakalash, with its impressive array of copper artifacts, provides a fascinating glimpse into the lives of these Copper Age communities. The Bronze Age, which commenced around 2800 BCE, marked a significant turning point in the region's history as trade networks expanded and cultural exchange intensified. The Ottomani culture, which flourished during this period, is notable for its impressive bronze artifacts, including swords, axes, and ornate jewelry. These ancient metalworkers demonstrated a remarkable level of sophistication, crafting intricate designs and patterns that continue to inspire wonder today. As the Bronze Age gave way to the Iron Age, around 800 BCE, the region became increasingly drawn into the orbit of Mediterranean cultures, with Greek and Roman influences beginning to make their presence felt. The arrival of Celtic tribes from Western Europe added another layer of complexity to the cultural landscape, as these fierce warriors and skilled metalworkers left their mark on the region. The Iron Age settlement at Galerthiki, with its impressive earthworks and fortifications, stands as a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of these ancient communities. As the Iron Age settlement at Galerthiki stood sentinel over the Danube, the region became increasingly entwined with the fortunes of the Roman Empire. The arrival of Roman legions in the 1st century BCE marked a significant turning point in the history of Budapest, as the city's strategic location made it an attractive prize for the empire's expansionist ambitions. The Romans established the settlement of Aquincum, which would eventually become a crucial outpost in the province of Pannonia, a region that encompassed much of modern-day Hungary. Archaeological excavations at Aquincum have unearthed a treasure trove of artifacts, including intricately mosaic-ed floors, ornate frescoes, and even a well-preserved amphitheater which hosted gladiatorial contests and public spectacles. The Roman presence in the region had a profound impact on the local culture, as indigenous Celtic and Illyrian tribes were gradually assimilated into the empire's administrative and economic structures. The construction of roads, bridges, and public buildings transformed the urban landscape, with Aquincum emerging as a thriving commercial center. Merchants and traders from across the empire flocked to the city, exchanging goods such as wine, olive oil, and textiles for the region's rich agricultural produce and mineral resources. The Roman poet Ammianus Marcellinus would later describe the city as a flourishing metropolis, whose inhabitants enjoyed a high standard of living and a rich cultural life. As the Roman Empire reached its zenith, Budapest became an important hub for the spread of Christianity, with early missionaries and martyrs leaving their mark on the city's spiritual landscape. The legend of Saint Stephen, who would eventually become the patron saint of Hungary, has its roots in this period, as the future king is said to have received a vision from God, instructing him to convert the pagan Magyars to Christianity. As the Roman Empire's grip on the region began to wane, Budapest found itself at the crossroads of various barbarian tribes and invading forces. The Huns, a nomadic people from Central Asia, swept through the region in the 4th century CE, leaving destruction and chaos in their wake. The Roman settlement of Aquincum was abandoned, and the city's population dwindled as many of its inhabitants fled to safer areas. The Hunnic Empire, under the leadership of Attila, briefly united various tribes and exerted control over much of Europe, including the Carpathian Basin. Although the Huns' presence in Budapest was marked by violence and devastation, they also introduced new cultural and technological influences, such as their distinctive horse-riding skills and archery techniques. As the Hunnic Empire collapsed, the region was invaded by various Germanic tribes, including the Goths and the Vandals. The Ostrogoths, led by Theodoric the Great, established a short-lived kingdom in the 5th century CE, which included parts of modern-day Hungary. The Byzantine Empire, with its capital in Constantinople, also exerted influence over the region, particularly through its missionaries and traders. The Byzantines introduced Orthodox Christianity to the area, which would later play a significant role in shaping the city's spiritual identity. The arrival of the Avars, a nomadic people from Central Asia, in the 6th century CE, marked another significant turning point in Budapest's history. The Avars established a powerful khanate that stretched from the Carpathian Mountains to the Adriatic Sea, and their capital, possibly located near modern-day Budapest, became an important center of trade and commerce. The Avars' presence in the region was marked by their distinctive culture, which blended elements of nomadic and sedentary lifestyles. They introduced new technologies, such as the stirrup, which revolutionized horse riding and warfare. As the Avar Khanate began to decline, the region was invaded by the Slavs, who would eventually become the dominant ethnic group in the area. The Slavs established various tribes and principalities, including the Principality of Mitra, which included parts of modern-day Hungary. The Slavs introduced their own language, culture, and customs, which would eventually blend with those of other groups to form the unique cultural identity of Budapest. The city's strategic location made it an attractive prize for various powers, and its history became increasingly intertwined with that of the surrounding region. The Magyars, led by Árpád, established a powerful principality that would eventually become the Kingdom of Hungary. Although the Magyars' initial presence in the region was marked by violence and destruction, they also introduced new cultural and technological influences, such as their distinctive language and horse-riding skills. The Magyars' settlement in the Carpathian Basin laid the foundations for the modern Hungarian state, and Budapest would eventually become its capital. The Principality of Hungary, established by Árpád, was a loose confederation of tribes and clans, with its capital possibly located near modern-day Budapest. The principality was marked by its unique cultural identity, which blended elements of nomadic and sedentary lifestyles. The Magyars' language, customs, and traditions would eventually become the dominant culture in the region, shaping the city's identity and character. As the principality expanded and consolidated its power, Budapest began to emerge as a significant urban center, with its strategic location making it an attractive prize for various powers. The conversion of the Magyars to Christianity, which began in the 10th century CE, marked another significant turning point in Budapest's history. The introduction of Christianity brought new cultural and intellectual influences to the region, including the establishment of monasteries, churches, and schools. The legend of Saint Stephen, who would eventually become the patron saint of Hungary, continued to shape the city's spiritual identity, as he was said to have played a key role in converting the pagan Magyars to Christianity. As the Magyars continued to consolidate their power and adopt Christianity, the Principality of Hungary began to take on a more defined shape. In 1000 CE, Stephen I, also known as Saint Stephen, was crowned the first king of Hungary, marking the beginning of the Kingdom of Hungary. Budapest, or rather its constituent parts, Buda and Pest, would eventually become the capital of this kingdom. During Stephen's reign, the kingdom experienced a period of significant growth and development, with the establishment of a strong centralized government, a codified system of laws, and a network of churches and monasteries. One of the most notable achievements of Stephen's reign was the creation of the Hungarian church hierarchy, with the Archbishopric of Esztergom as its center. The archbishopric played a crucial role in the spread of Christianity throughout the kingdom and would later become a major power broker in Hungarian politics. The kingdom also experienced a period of cultural flowering, with the introduction of Latin script, the development of a unique Hungarian art style, and the establishment of trade relationships with neighboring countries. In 1046 CE, Stephen's nephew, Peter Orseolo, ascended to the throne, but his reign was marked by controversy and power struggles. The kingdom was eventually divided among various claimants, leading to a period of instability and conflict. However, in 1077 CE, Ladislaus I, also known as Saint Ladislaus, became king and restored order to the kingdom. During his reign, the kingdom experienced a period of significant economic growth, with the establishment of new trade routes and the development of a strong agricultural sector. The 12th century saw the rise of the Árpád dynasty, which would rule Hungary for over 2 centuries. One of the most notable members of this dynasty was King Béla III, who ruled from 1172 to 1196 CE. During his reign, the kingdom experienced a period of significant cultural and economic growth, with the establishment of new universities, the development of a strong administrative system, and the construction of numerous churches and monasteries. Béla III also played a key role in the development of Budapest, with the establishment of the town of Pest as a major commercial center. In 1196 CE, King Béla III was succeeded by his son Emeric, who would go on to play a significant role in the development of the kingdom. However, Emeric's reign was marked by conflict and power struggles, including a dispute with his brother Andrew II, who would eventually succeed him as king. Andrew II's reign, which lasted from 1205 to 1235 CE, was marked by significant developments, including the issuance of the Golden Bull, a document that established the rights and privileges of the Hungarian nobility. The Golden Bull, issued in 1222 CE, is considered one of the most important documents in Hungarian history, as it established the principles of constitutional monarchy and limited the power of the king. The document also recognized the rights of the nobility to resist unjust laws and to assemble in parliament. This marked a significant turning point in the development of the kingdom, as it established a system of checks and balances that would shape Hungarian politics for centuries to come. As the 13th century unfolded, Hungary faced numerous challenges, including the Mongol invasion of 1241, which left deep scars on the kingdom. The Mongols, led by Batu Khan, swept through Eastern Europe, leaving destruction and devastation in their wake. The Hungarian army, led by King Béla IV, suffered a crushing defeat at the Battle of Muhi, and the king was forced to flee to the coast of Dalmatia. The Mongol invasion had a profound impact on the development of Budapest, as the city's inhabitants were forced to flee or take refuge in fortified castles. In the aftermath of the Mongol invasion, King Béla IV implemented a series of reforms aimed at strengthening the kingdom and rebuilding its infrastructure. He encouraged the settlement of foreign colonists, including Germans, Italians, and Walloons, who brought with them new skills and technologies. The king also invested heavily in the construction of fortified castles and walls, including the Castle of Buda, which would become a symbol of Hungarian power and resilience. One of the most significant consequences of the Mongol invasion was the rise of the noble class, who played an increasingly important role in Hungarian politics. The nobles, led by powerful families such as the Árpáds and the Sziasztaks, began to consolidate their power and influence, often at the expense of the monarch. This led to a period of instability and conflict, as different factions vied for control of the kingdom. In 1301, the Árpád dynasty came to an end with the death of King Andrew III, who died without an heir. This led to a succession crisis, as different claimants vied for the throne. The nobles, led by the powerful oligarch Matthew Czick, played a key role in determining the outcome of the succession crisis. Ultimately, the crown was awarded to Charles Robert of Anjou, a member of the French royal family who had married into the Hungarian noble class. Charles Robert's reign, which lasted from 1308 to 1342, was marked by significant developments, including the establishment of a strong centralized government and the promotion of trade and commerce. The king also invested heavily in the construction of new buildings and infrastructure, including the Castle of Visegrad, which would become a favorite residence of Hungarian monarchs. During this period, Budapest began to emerge as a major commercial center, with merchants from across Europe flocking to the city to trade goods such as textiles, spices, and metals. In 1347, Charles Robert was succeeded by his son, Louis I, who would go on to become one of the most successful Hungarian monarchs of all time. Louis's reign, which lasted from 1342 to 1382, was marked by significant military victories, including the conquest of Naples and the defeat of the Venetian Republic. The king also invested heavily in the development of Budapest, including the construction of new churches, monasteries, and public buildings. One of the most notable achievements of Louis's reign was the establishment of the University of Pécs, which would become one of the oldest and most prestigious institutions of higher learning in Central Europe. The university attracted scholars from across the continent, who came to study subjects such as law, medicine, and theology. During this period, Budapest emerged as a major center of learning and culture, with scholars and intellectuals flocking to the city to engage in debates and discussions about the latest ideas and discoveries. As the 14th century drew to a close, Hungary faced new challenges, including the rise of the Ottoman Empire and the Black Death, which had a devastating impact on the kingdom's population. Despite these challenges, Budapest continued to thrive, emerging as one of the most important cities in Central Europe. The city's strategic location at the confluence of the Danube and Pest rivers made it an ideal center for trade and commerce, and its inhabitants played a key role in shaping the course of Hungarian history. In 1382, Louis I was succeeded by his daughter Mary, who would go on to play a significant role in Hungarian politics. Mary's reign, which lasted from 1382 to 1395, was marked by significant challenges, including the rise of the noble class and the threat of Ottoman invasion. The queen also faced opposition from her husband, Sigismund of Luxembourg, who would eventually succeed her as king. Despite these challenges, Mary remained a powerful figure in Hungarian politics, using her influence to promote the interests of the kingdom and its people. Sigismund of Luxembourg's reign, which began in 1387 and lasted until his death in 1437, marked a significant turning point in Hungarian history. As the King of Hungary, Sigismund implemented various reforms aimed at strengthening the monarchy and promoting trade and commerce. He established the Order of the Dragon, a chivalric order dedicated to fighting against the Ottoman Empire, which had been making steady gains in the Balkans. The order's members, including prominent Hungarian nobles such as Nicholas II Dorai and Stibor of Stiboric, played a crucial role in defending the kingdom against Ottoman raids. During Sigismund's reign, Budapest continued to grow and prosper, with the city becoming an important center for trade and commerce. The king invested heavily in the construction of new buildings and infrastructure, including the renovation of the Castle of Buda, which became one of the most impressive royal residences in Europe. The castle's Gothic-style architecture, featuring intricate stone carvings and stunning stained-glass windows, reflected the kingdom's rich cultural heritage. In 1405, Sigismund granted Budapest a royal charter, giving the city greater autonomy and the right to self-governance. This led to the establishment of a municipal council composed of prominent citizens who were responsible for managing the city's affairs. The council played a key role in promoting trade and commerce, establishing guilds for various crafts and industries, and regulating the city's markets. One of the most significant events during Sigismund's reign was the Council of Constance, which took place from 1414 to 1418. The council, attended by prominent church leaders and nobles from across Europe, aimed to resolve the Western Schism and promote church reform. Sigismund played a key role in the council, using his influence to promote the interests of the Hungarian kingdom and secure support for his military campaigns against the Ottomans. In 1419, Sigismund launched a major campaign against the Ottomans, hoping to drive them out of the Balkans and secure Hungary's southern borders. The campaign was unsuccessful, however, and the Ottomans continued to make gains in the region. Despite this setback, Sigismund remained committed to defending the kingdom against Ottoman aggression, and he continued to invest heavily in the military and fortifications. As Sigismund's reign drew to a close, Hungary faced significant challenges, including the threat of Ottoman invasion and internal power struggles between rival noble factions. The king's death in 1437 led to a succession crisis, with various claimants vying for the throne. Ultimately, the crown was awarded to Albert II of Habsburg, a member of the powerful Habsburg dynasty, who would go on to play a significant role in shaping Hungary's future. Albert's reign, which lasted from 1437 until his death in 1439, was marked by significant challenges, including the threat of Ottoman invasion and internal power struggles. The king faced opposition from rival noble factions, who resented his attempts to centralize power and limit their influence. Despite these challenges, Albert remained committed to defending the kingdom against Ottoman aggression, and he launched several military campaigns against the Ottomans during his reign. Following Albert's death in 1439, the Hungarian throne was awarded to Ladislaus V, a young prince from the Habsburg dynasty who was only 6 years old at the time. Due to his minority, a regency council was established to govern the kingdom until he came of age. The council was dominated by powerful nobles such as Michael Szilágyi and Nicholas Csilláky, who vied for control and influence in the kingdom. One of the key challenges facing the Regency Council was the ongoing threat posed by the Ottoman Empire, which had been making steady gains in the Balkans and was now threatening Hungary's southern borders. In response to this threat, the council appointed John Hunyadi, a skilled military leader from Transylvania, as the kingdom's voivode and tasked him with defending the border regions against Ottoman raids. Hunyadi proved to be an able and energetic leader, launching several successful campaigns against the Ottomans and driving them back from Hungary's borders. He also implemented various reforms aimed at strengthening the kingdom's military and improving its defenses, including the creation of a new system of fortifications and the establishment of a professional army. In 1440, Ladislaus V was crowned King of Hungary in a ceremony held at Székesfehérvár, but he would not come to play an active role in the kingdom's governance until several years later. In the meantime, the Regency Council continued to dominate the kingdom's politics, with Hunyadi emerging as one of the most powerful figures in the land. As Hunyadi's influence grew, so did his reputation as a military leader and statesman. He was instrumental in organizing a crusade against the Ottomans, which was launched in 1443 and enjoyed some initial successes before ultimately being defeated at the Battle of Varna in 1444. Despite this setback, Hunyadi remained committed to defending Hungary against Ottoman aggression, and he continued to play a key role in the kingdom's governance until his death in 1456. During the 1450s, Budapest began to emerge as an important cultural and economic center in the kingdom. The city was home to a thriving community of merchants and artisans who traded goods such as textiles, metals, and spices with other cities across Europe. The city was also a hub of learning and intellectual activity, with several prominent schools and universities, including the University of Buda, which was founded in 1395. One of the most notable cultural figures to emerge from Budapest during this period was Janus Pannonius, a poet and humanist who was known for his elegant Latin verse and his advocacy of classical learning. Pannonius was a key figure in the Hungarian Renaissance, which saw a resurgence of interest in classical culture and learning among the kingdom's intellectual elite. As the 1450s drew to a close, Hungary faced a new challenge with the rise of Matthias Corvinus, a young and ambitious nobleman who would go on to become one of the most important figures in Hungarian history. Corvinus was elected king in 1458, following the death of Ladislaus V, and he quickly set about consolidating his power and implementing a series of reforms aimed at strengthening the kingdom and promoting its cultural and economic development. Under Corvinus's leadership, Budapest continued to grow and prosper, emerging as one of the most important cities in Central Europe. The king invested heavily in the city's infrastructure, including the construction of new roads, bridges, and buildings. And he also encouraged the development of trade and commerce by granting privileges and exemptions to merchants and artisans. Corvinus was a patron of the arts and sciences, and his court attracted scholars and intellectuals from across Europe. He was particularly interested in promoting the study of classical culture and learning, and he founded several new schools and universities, including the University of Pisoni, which was established in 1465. As Corvinus's reign wore on, Budapest became an increasingly important center of learning and intellectual activity, with scholars such as Galeotto Marzio and Antonio Bonfini making significant contributions to the development of Hungarian culture and literature. The city's cultural and economic influence continued to grow, and it emerged as a major hub of trade and commerce in Central Europe. The campaign was ultimately unsuccessful, but it marked an important turning point in Hungarian history, as it highlighted the ongoing threat posed by the Ottoman Empire and the need for continued vigilance and defense. As the 1470s drew to a close, Corvinus faced new challenges at home, including opposition from rival noble factions and discontent among the kingdom's peasants and commoners. Despite these challenges, he remained committed to his vision of a strong and prosperous Hungary, and he continued to implement reforms aimed at promoting the kingdom's cultural and economic development. In 1480, Corvinus established a new system of government in Budapest, which included the creation of a municipal council and the appointment of a royal governor to oversee the city's affairs. This marked an important milestone in the city's history, as it gave Budapest a greater degree of autonomy and self-government and paved the way for its emergence as a major urban center in Central Europe. As Corvinus's reign continued, Budapest's cultural and economic influence expanded further, with the city becoming a hub for merchants, artisans, and intellectuals from across Europe. In 1485, Corvinus established the Hungarian royal court in Buda, which became the center of the kingdom's administrative and judicial power. The court attracted scholars, poets, and artists, including the famous Italian humanist Francesco Bandini, who served as a secretary to Corvinus. The king's patronage of the arts and sciences led to a flourishing of cultural activity in Budapest, with the establishment of new schools, libraries, and printing presses. In 1480, the first printing press in Hungary was set up in Buda by Andreas Hess, a German printer, which enabled the widespread dissemination of books and knowledge throughout the kingdom. Corvinus also encouraged the translation of classical works into Hungarian, which helped to promote the development of the Hungarian language and literature. During this period, Budapest's architecture underwent significant transformations with the construction of new buildings, churches, and palaces. The king commissioned the renowned Italian architect, Cimenti Comicchia, to design and build the royal palace in Buda, which became one of the most impressive architectural achievements of the time. The palace featured a mix of Gothic, Renaissance, and Hungarian styles, reflecting the cultural exchange and influences that characterized Corvinus's court. In 1490, Corvinus died suddenly, and his son, John Corvinus, succeeded him as king. However, John's reign was short-lived, and he was eventually deposed by the nobles in favor of Władysław II Jagiellon, a member of the Polish royal family. The new king continued to reside in Buda, but his reign marked the beginning of a period of decline for the city, as the kingdom faced internal conflicts, external threats, and economic stagnation. Despite these challenges, Budapest continued to maintain its cultural and intellectual vibrancy, with scholars such as Miklós Olah, a Hungarian humanist, playing a significant role in promoting learning and education. In 1505, Olah founded the University of Pacquias, which became one of the leading centers of learning in Hungary. The university attracted students from across Europe, including the famous German scholar Philip Melanchthon, who later became a prominent figure in the Protestant Reformation. As the 16th century progressed, Budapest faced new challenges, including the threat of Ottoman expansion and the spread of Protestantism. In 1521, the Ottomans captured Belgrade, which marked the beginning of a long period of Turkish dominance over much of Hungary. The city's economy suffered significantly, and many of its inhabitants fled or were displaced. However, despite these challenges, Budapest continued to maintain its cultural and intellectual heritage, with scholars, artists, and writers continuing to produce works that reflected the city's rich history and traditions. In 1526, The Ottomans defeated the Hungarian army at the Battle of Mohacs, which led to the partitioning of Hungary into three parts: the Ottoman Empire, the Habsburg Empire, and the Principality of Transylvania. Buda was occupied by the Ottomans, who established a pasha in the city and introduced Islamic culture and architecture. The city's churches were converted into mosques, and many of its inhabitants adopted Islam or fled to other parts of Hungary. Despite the Ottoman occupation, Budapest continued to maintain its cultural and intellectual vibrancy, with scholars such as Sebastian Tinodi, a Hungarian poet and historian, documenting the city's history and traditions. In 1554, Tinodi published his famous work, Chronica, which provided a detailed account of Hungarian history from the earliest times to the present day. The book became a classic of Hungarian literature and helped to promote a sense of national identity and pride among the city's inhabitants. As the Ottoman occupation of Buda continued, the city's infrastructure and economy suffered significantly. Many of its inhabitants fled to other parts of Hungary, while others adopted Islam or were forcibly assimilated into Turkish culture. The city's famous thermal baths, which had been a staple of Hungarian culture for centuries, were converted into Turkish hammams, and the traditional Hungarian architecture was replaced with Ottoman-style buildings. In 1686, the Habsburg Empire, led by Charles V, Duke of Lorraine, launched a campaign to retake Buda from the Ottomans. After a brutal siege, the city fell to the Habsburgs on September 2, 1686. The liberation of Buda marked the beginning of a new era for the city, as it was slowly rebuilt and restored to its former glory. During the 18th century, Buda underwent significant urban development with the construction of new buildings, roads, and bridges. The city's famous chain bridge, which spans the Danube River, was built in 1849, connecting Buda to Pest, the neighboring city on the opposite bank. The two cities were officially united in 1873 to form Budapest, the capital city of Hungary. As the 19th century progressed, Budapest experienced rapid growth and modernization with the development of its transportation system, industry, and culture. The city became a hub for arts and sciences, attracting famous composers like Franz Liszt and Béla Bartók, as well as writers like Sándor Petőfi and André Ady. In 1896, Budapest celebrated its millennium anniversary, marking 1,000 years since the founding of the Hungarian state. The city hosted a grand exhibition featuring exhibits on Hungarian history, culture, and industry. The event was attended by dignitaries from across Europe, including Emperor Franz Joseph I of Austria-Hungary. As the 20th century began, Budapest continued to thrive, with its population growing rapidly and its economy booming. However, the city's prosperity was short-lived, as World War I broke out in 1914 and Hungary found itself on the losing side. The war had a devastating impact on Budapest, with widespread poverty, hunger, and disease. In the aftermath of the war, Hungary experienced a brief period of communist rule, followed by a right-wing dictatorship under Admiral Miklos Horthy. During this time, Budapest's Jewish community, which had been an integral part of the city's culture and economy for centuries, faced increasing persecution and discrimination. On March 19, 1944, Nazi Germany occupied Hungary, and Budapest was subjected to brutal suppression. The city's Jewish population was deported to concentration camps, and many of its historic buildings were destroyed or damaged during the war. On January 17, 1945, Soviet forces captured Budapest, marking the end of the German occupation. In the post-war period, Budapest underwent significant reconstruction and modernization, with the communist government investing heavily in industry and infrastructure. The city became a hub for socialist ideology and culture, attracting visitors from across the Eastern Bloc. As the Cold War came to an end, Budapest experienced a new era of freedom and prosperity with the fall of communism in 1989. The city has since become a popular tourist destination, attracting millions of visitors each year with its rich history, cultural heritage, and stunning architecture. Today, Budapest is a thriving metropolis, proud of its complex and often tumultuous past, yet looking towards a bright and promising future. From its ancient roots to its modern-day rebirth, Budapest's story is a testament to the power of human perseverance and the enduring spirit of a nation. Thank you for joining me throughout this historical journey. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.